Not too long ago, if we got called to do a portrait headshot on location, I might take along my studio lights, or sometimes I would use my Nikon speed lights along with a large umbrella, or if I'm using my studio lights, I would take along a large softbox with several light stands. I also take along a portable backdrop or two, my tripod, and usually I would use my Nikon and my 70 to 200 millimeter lens. Now, I love this equipment. I love using my Nikon and my Fuji cameras, but more and more I'm incorporating my iPhone 11 Pro Max to do more of my photo projects. So is it possible to do beautiful portrait headshots using just your phone? I say absolutely it is. And we're going to look at several different ways you can do that. And one of the ways is using just natural room light without any kind of modifiers or additional light added. And then we're going to be looking also at some of the modifiers that you can use or an additional light unit that's very simple to work with. And however, if I'm doing something like a headshot outdoors, almost always I'll use a reflector to brighten up the eyes, because many times you're going to see raccoon eyes outdoors. So you want to get rid of that look, and a reflector also helps to brighten up the eyes, and sometimes you can get a nice catch light in the eyes using a reflector. The reflectors that I use, this is my smallest one. This is about a 30-inch reflector. And this particular one, the one that I'm about to show you, is translucent. But I can also add silver, gold, and they have a white or I think even a black section that you can fit over this. So I use this actually quite a bit. And this is a good size for doing an individual one-person headshot because of the size. And the other reflector that I use quite a bit would be this one here. I keep this one in the car just about all the time. And this is a larger, this is a larger one. And this one's a lot of fun to take with you, because if you're doing like kids or something, after you're done, you could tell them to fold this up and to put it back in the bag for you. But this I like because this is just one piece, silver on one side if I need more of a reflective quality, and white on the other to just get a little bit softer light reflecting on the subject. So this is the two lighting reflectors that I use just about all the time. The other light that we're going to be looking at is a small video light, the CN126. Now the neat thing about using this light is that it's adjustable. I can add just a little bit of light if I need to, or I can take it up to maximum and just really give it a whole lot of power if I need it. But usually I just need a little bit. And again, this is one that I might use coming in a little bit off to the side and in front of the face if I need it, or I'll use it as a kicker light coming in from the back and the side, just a little bit to give a little bit more dimension to your portrait. So these are just some of the things that I use to do a portrait headshot. So let's take a look. All right, so let's look at this image here, and this was taken using the iPhone 11 Pro Max in portrait mode. And we were in kind of a small room, and right outside the window you could see some nice light coming in from the back, which I call a kicker light, or could be also called a rim light. And this just adds a little bit of shape to the shoulders, to the top of the, in this case he had a hat on. And also we've added another light, the CN126 video light, that we put on, as we're looking at him, on the right side of his face. You can see the highlight there. And this just gave a little bit more dimension to his face. So let's see what we can do with this. So this is the way that it was taken. And of course, being in portrait mode, we can use the filters. So the first thing I want to do is add a little bit of light. So you could see here I'm using the filter called Studio Light. Just to give you an idea, if we go further down, we have a filter called contour light, which also gives a little bit more shape to the face. And then we can do stage light, which makes the background black so your attention goes more to the subject. But in this case, I'm going to stick with studio light because, as you can see, it brightened up the face a little bit more. Okay, so as we're looking at this taken right from the camera, could I have done more? Yes, I could have put a reflector in front of them so we can brighten up the eyes a little bit more and throw a little bit more light into the shadow side of the face. And I could have maybe even added a second light on, as we're looking at him, our left side. But as it is, this is the way that it was taken. So let's go into it, and we're going to add a filter. We're going to use studio light. And as you can see, this brightened up the face a little bit more, almost as if we've added a reflector. So I like that. And also I'm going to click on the f-stop here. And that's going to give me the option of creating more or less background blur, which is very similar to using a portrait or a fast lens so you can blur the background. That's what I'm going to do here. So as it was taken, it says here f4.5, and we slide it to the right, it's going to give us f16. If we slide it all the way to the left, it's going to give the appearance of f1.4, which is a very, very large lens opening. And look now how blurred the background got. I like this more, so I'm going to keep this at f1.4. And of course, we've also added the studio light filter. And now we're going to go back into another filter, and I'm going to add vignetting on this. It's the last one here. So I'm going to just add a little bit of a dark vignette all around. So you can see now that your attention goes more to his face rather than all over. So I like that, and we're going to save this one just as it is now. So here's another image I was taken in the same room, in the same chair, and in this particular one, I used the CN126 video light towards his front. So we added a little bit of light onto his face, which brightened up the face just a little bit. And again, you can notice the light coming in from the back, just giving a little bit more shape to his shoulders and so on. And as we come in closer here, notice that we can see the catch light in the eyes from the light. And of course, by adding the light to the front of his face, it just brightened up the shadow side of his face a little bit more. So here's another portrait, the same location, the same chair. And again, you can see the light coming in from the back, giving us a little bit of shape to the hat, to the side of the face. And again, on this particular one, we've added the CN126 video light. As we're looking on a little bit in back and to our right side as we're looking at him. And we've also added a reflector towards the left front of his face. So this is the way that it was. Let's go into it now, and how can we change this? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to blur the background a little more. So we're going to take the f-stop to 1.4, and you can see the difference now, how nice that background blurred out. And you know what, let's do a little bit of cropping here too. I'm going to bring this a little bit closer. All right, that looks good. And let's add another filter, and this time we're going to add a vignette to it. So now you can see that we've added the vignette, which darkened the sides in a corner just a little bit, giving our attention more to his face. So let's go back to the original filter in the portrait mode, and of course we could change that. We can bring it from the natural light, the way that it was taken, and again we can add studio light, and then we can add contour light, so we can get all these different effects. This one looks kind of nice. Now here you can see stage light and then stage light mono, which gives this one a black and white effect with a black background. One more thing that I can add here with this filter, think I'm going to reduce the brightness just a little bit. It's a little bit too washed out in the highlights, as you can see. So let's change it right to about there. Okay, so this is what we have now, where we started from the colored version, made this a dramatic black and white. On this first image here, we have beautiful soft room light. We also have some nice overhead light that's coming in and giving us a little bit of hair light. And this is pretty much how it looked coming out of the camera. However, I did do a little bit of cropping on it. I also used some of the filters that are included with the camera to enhance some of the images. And sometimes I may take it into Adobe Photoshop and just work on it on my computer. And here's an example where I did a little bit of retouching on this one, just soften the skin lines a little bit, gave it a vignette, and this was done in Adobe Photoshop. And here's another one using just existing room light. First one is how it was out of the camera, maybe cropped just a little bit. And then the next one, I believe we cropped this one a little bit more. And here I adjusted the color just a little bit more. I got rid of some of that warmth, and on the next one I did a little bit of enhancement to it also, and this was also done in Adobe Photoshop. Now there are several different filters, as I mentioned, you can use, like the ones that are included in your phone, and I also use Snapseed occasionally too. Here's another example using just existing room light. And this one here, I already used some of the filters that were included in part of the iPhone. Now these were all taken, by the way, with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I gave this one a vignette, and notice that she has her left eye is a little bit lazy. And on the final one, I took this one into Adobe Photoshop. Now, you don't have to, but I just got so used to using Photoshop, and it just takes a couple of minutes to do a few things. And here I fixed her lazy eye and also softened some of the skin tones just a little bit. So this was meant just to show you some of the possibilities, and I urge you to study photography so you can learn to see light. And once you do that, it's such a benefit to you because you can go anywhere, you can look around, you could find the perfect light or as good as it gets. And if it's not that perfect, you could always use a light modifier like a reflector, or you can use the LED light to just add a little bit of light to it. And I've added a few links down below in the description area so you can see the equipment that I was using, and also a link to one of our courses on lighting. It's called Light in the Eye of the Photographer. And this can really help you to learn to see light. So yes, it's possible for you to take beautiful headshot portraits on location. Thank you very much.